My name is John Griffith. I'm he, him, his are the pronouns that I use. I'm an out gay man. Well, the center has meant a lot to me from the first time I was here in Milwaukee, and that's been over 30 years ago now that I moved to Milwaukee. A group of us had got together about 3 years before the center first opened its doors and decided that we needed a place to go outside of the bars, so to speak, to have some socialization, interaction in a safe yet open and honest way with our peers. So we took us about 3 years of many mailings, many meetings and stuff to get to the point where we finally opened the door. And I was fortunate enough to be the first volunteer at our first location down on 2nd and C Booth, and welcome Neil Albright in the door, our first director. And I've been spending, at the first few years, I spent 2 to 3 days a week volunteering there. After that, it was intermittently, but I did continue all through and up to this day. And I'm active now in more of the senior programs. I'm representing our community on the Milwaukee County Commission on Aging, and I was recruited then to participate in the State Aging Advisory Council as well. But this has all happened through my participation in our LGBT Community Center. And I think the center has given me personal growth and given me opportunity to interact with peers and young people and intergenerational stuff, and it's been wonderful. I knew when I was about 9 or 10 years old that I was a gay man. I was a gay boy at that point. But I went to the library, local library, and decided that I need to take and find something about homosexuality. So I asked the librarian. I think she almost had a heart attack when I asked her. Yeah, I believe the librarian must have said something to my parents at that point in time, that I was looking for this information. Because all of a sudden I found myself taking different classes in school that the other students didn't have. And this was a Catholic school. And I was getting all this stuff about homosexuality being the reason why the Roman civilization fell apart and all this other stuff. And, it's just giving negative discussion about homosexuality in these special classes. But I also found something else happening in my dynamics in my home. I think they must have talked with the priest and probably a doctor. And I guess back then they decided that my mother couldn't have show too much affection towards me, and she didn't from that point on in my life and in terms of touching affection, that kind of thing. And my father was supposed to be more active, involved in my life. So all of a sudden I found myself going with my father. Well, he was fishing, and so I watched him fish while I sat beside him, and I never had a fishbowl, but I suppose what I got was my interaction with my father. But anyhow, I stayed closeted most of my life. I found myself going off to the university, and I then realized that I needed to take and express myself. And didn't know much about being gay at that point in time, and I was trying to learn something about myself. And Stonewall happened, and I was very moved by the Stonewall action. I remember seeing the next night that Dan Rather was on the evening news, and he was interrupted because some gay person was trying to out him on the evening news, and the whole broadcast went black, and they had to take and switch over. Wow, something's going down. We didn't know what it was, and they never did say. We just heard it back through the underground media at the time what was going down. I still keep the quote on my fireplace and in a frame from Robert Kennedy. When in June of 1966, under the threat of apartheid in South Africa, Robert Kennedy, under the threat of being arrested, tried to paraphrase, whenever you take and raise a hope for people, whenever you fight against oppression, whenever you dare to dream of a different future, you are like a stone thrown into a pond, creating a ripple, and that ripple will turn into waves. That waves will eventually change. Just a wonderful quote that Robert Kennedy spoke, and I think he, considering where he came from, wealth, he came from very pleasant, comfortable circumstance. As a Catholic, and something I can identify with, he had the courage to take and say that in the middle of apartheid in South Africa.